One of the programs that I highlighted with business owners right now is that I take them through that journey of, business owners always want to grow their companies. They want to transform the organization. They want to leave this legacy, this DNA, engraved in the organization even long when they're gone. And to be able to do that, there has to be alignment. You mentioned this, right? Like how you relate to yourself and to the exterior. If there is no alignment, it's very difficult to make that happen for everybody in the organization. And if you don't have clarity of where your alignment is, then very unlikely that you are going to get to that point where you will leave a legacy or grow your business where you want it to grow.
Hello, everybody. It's Robert Stone here with the Side Hustle podcast. I'm here with some international flavor, Roberto Bugato. I met Roberto through the Brian Tracy Publishing Group because he's a published author with Brian Tracy. We're going down that road ourselves, and that's how we met. So we had a little chat the other day. You can catch that in the trailers. If you want to stick around after the podcast and see what we talked about in prep for the podcast. So welcome, Robert. Where are you? What time is it there? What's going on?
Thank you, Robert. And it's a fantastic opportunity to be with you. So I'm actually joining from Sevilla, the south of Spain, which it's quite a long ways from Vancouver. But yeah, we're doing fantastic. We're going through a bit of a rough patch right now in Spain. I don't know if you guys are following the news, but there's been quite a few storms that have hit the Mediterranean coast quite hard. Over 100 dead right now. So my condolences go to everybody in that area, man.
My brother as well. My brother is in the west coast of Florida. So they weren't hit as bad, but he was going through that a couple of weeks ago. So the world is, we have to adhere to Mother Nature and higher powers. I don't think using paper straws is going to change the environment. It will help, but I don't think it will change. So we have to pray and pray that everybody's safe. So business-wise, business is always a storm as well.
Yes,
Canadian politics is no different. But, we chatted a little bit about your publication in the book, but it wasn't always like that. How did you get started on your own journey to entrepreneurship? Where did it start? Maybe what you studied growing up. Maybe you had aspirations to be an astronaut. In Canada, everybody wants to be a hockey player. In the US, everybody wants to be a pro football or basketball player. What did Roberto do growing up?
Well, I think I was just a normal kid, Robert. I mean, at the end of the day, I have my dreams and my aspirations and all that. There was a time where I wanted to be an architect because I love constructing things. Then there was a time I wanted to be a biologist because I'm in love with nature and animals. And I think I've gone everything in between, I guess. But I've always had one thing in common. Yeah, it throughout the phase of growing up and being, I guess, exposed to all the business books that my father had in his library shelves. And I grew up with Dale Carnegie, Stephen Covey. I grew up with Brian Tracy. I grew up with some of the big names. And then I was always very an inquisitive kid, right? So I will always ask about this and ask about that. And my father was a salesman by profession as well.
Naming all those names, you're giving away your age.
Yes, I guess so. I guess, but some of those books were older than me. I can at least, in my defense, say that. But yeah, there's much of everything that I wanted to learn, and then I switched sides of the letters to science so many times. But at the end of the day, I think the one thing that I had in common was relationships. I always loved relating myself to other things and other people. And I think that's quite an important trait in business, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something interesting you say that because, all of these business gurus talk about relationships with people. I think that's the first time I heard about relationships with maybe thoughts or beliefs and having a relationship with yourself. As a teenager, we all have the relationship with ourselves, but that's the first time I've heard it in that perspective. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Maybe that's why all of these books growing up being, reaching onto your father's bookshelf and reading some of these books that, I was joking about the age, but maybe being a little bit ahead of yourself. I was that way growing up. When I would come home from school, my mother would have the radio on and she listened to country music.
There you go.
And I wanted to listen to dance music. So I would, she would be working in the kitchen, making dinner and doing her, work, taking care of all of us. And I would switch the station onto dance music. And then when we were doing the dishes, she would go in and put on country. So growing up, I actually had a fondness for country music because of my mother.
There you go. There you go. No, it is quite, because, when people ask me about, I was in a conference not too long ago, and I was giving a bit of a speech of what I do as a businessman, as a coach, as a mentor. And they asked me, "Hey, are you a relationship coach?" And I said, "Well, all coaches are relationship coaches at the end of the day, right?" And I told this lady, and she was fantastic, by the way. And I told her, I think, you have to be, every coach needs to be a relationship coach. And the reason for that is because the first relationship that you have to develop is the one with yourself. And we often tend to forget that, when I said that earlier, is that I really enjoyed that time with myself and learning how to relate from myself to others. And I think that's what makes a good salesman a good salesman.
Yeah, you were talking about architecture, and I was doing a little research online. I know you have a little bit of a background. You mentioned it. I actually took architecture for one class in high school because my friends in the neighborhood, all their parents were builders and in construction industry. So I actually went into the trades myself. I was framing houses and doing custom homes until I was about 30 years old. So I have an interest in that. And just on a side note, I had to look it up here, but there's a great YouTube video, Stefan Sagmeister, and we'll put that in the notes in the comments, whether you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, it'll be in the comments. Stefan Sagmeister, architect, did a TED Talk about time, and he was talking about that the first 20 years of our life, doing like you did, exploring different things. Want to be a biologist, want to be an architect, want to be an astronaut, hockey player, soccer or football player. He talks about the first 20 years of our life, and the last 30 years of our life are really just exploration. He said the middle 40 years were working, but he talked about he was burnt out after 4 years, so he took a year off. And he said it was the best year creativity wise for his business. And then he came back and he'd done that every 5 years. He takes 1 year off. He said, because by the time you hit retirement, you've had 6 years to enjoy your life while you still have your health, while you still have your youth and your energy. So I really like that, what you brought up about the relationships.
That's a
So
fantastic
where did you lose the drive for architecture or building or structures, and then go into the relationship world that you're in now? And tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, but I think I never lost that inquisitive desire to learn about construction. I've been working in with engineering companies for nearly 15 years now, and I don't think I lost the desire to learn it, but I guess that life kind of like moved me or shaped me into just the focus on people relationship. Yeah, and this is why I'm so passionate about what I do. And I know we talked about this in the preparation. They will see it on the trailer, but we talked about the nuclear leader and what that how the nuclear leader was born. And you talk about higher powers. One of the concepts that I see repeating itself, it's how when you're connected with yourself, then you can connect with different higher powers, in different ways. And you see that in science, you see that in architecture. You talk about inspiration from some of the greatest, world's greatest architects, and they talk about inspiration. And then, where is that coming from? It's not coming from a book. Of course, you take some from learning from everybody else. But one principle that taught me about higher powers, even in science, was, and he's not a very known scientist, but he discovered the organic form of carbon. Yeah, and his name was Kekulé. This scientist, and he was, while he was studying, and he was working about separating or inorganic from organic matter, and he couldn't figure out in what form carbon chains will come as organic, until he was studying, and then late in the evening in his house, and he fell asleep in front of the fireplace, the fire pit. And then while he was asleep, he dreamed that a fire snake came out of the fire, and then actually went around itself and it beat its tail, forming an hexagonal form. And then he woke up with that inspiration of, oh, that's why I couldn't find it in linear form. And then he discovered that every carbon that is in organic form is in hexagonal circle. So,
And what was the scientist's name?
Kekulé. He was a French, I believe. He was
Calculate.
French.
So is that where calculator came from?
Yeah, I don't think that's where it comes from, but Kekule is the name. I can't. I probably can't spell it out of memory, but I can definitely
We'll
find
have
it
to
out
Google
and
that
send
and
it.
put it in the notes because I know our listeners are always inquisitive and looking around.
There you go.
So the business you're in now is a relationship business, and tell us a little bit about your chapter with Brian. You're co-publishing with Brian. Maybe a little bit about the experience and what the chapter is about.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm like you said, I'm part of the first edition book, and in my chapter, I talk about one particular concept. So, and I've heard this is not by no means proprietary, but of me, but I took I built on it because if you see across history the work world, we've gone through several major revolutions. So the first one was the industrial revolution that happened in the Manchester area in England, and that changed the way that we had a relationship with the feudal leaders of the world, right? So we became workers, and then going into the uprising of computers and computer technology, internet, we went into the information revolution, where we passed from the main assets to feed were product in the industrial revolution. Yeah, this is what everybody was focusing on, is the product. We went into the information revolution. Now it's data. Now the product is data. We have to feed the asset of data. And I believe we now must go into the social revolution where the asset is people. Because with the up and coming, rising of AI and all of these technologies that will take much of the labor work out of the people, we have to consider that the most valuable assets is the tacit knowledge within people. And I think business owners will do well if they understand that early on. Yeah, that's part of what I speak about in the chapter with Brent Tracy, linked to what the nuclear leader model of my book is about.
I like the relationship part of it, and you talked about there's relationships with people, and then I think there's relationships with yourself. And I've never thought about it this way until you mentioned it. And then there's relationship with beliefs or thoughts or patterns, or maybe a particular industry. Some people believe Donald Trump is evil. Some people believe he's a god. Some people just want to shoot him. Twice now.
Some people shot him. Some people shot him.
Yeah, so there's been 2 attempts on his life. 99.999% of the population never gets shot at. So let's just hope we're one of those people. So the website, I know we'll put the website in the chat area on Spotify. It'll be in the notes and the comments in your bio. But the website's taking a change, and what is it going to evolve into, and what can people look for on your website? What type of service are you going to offer? How can people engage with you to engage your services and what you're teaching now?
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for that. I mean, they can reach me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Yeah, we put that down there, and the website as well. It's under construction on a renovation right now. But they will find that even though I will highlight some of the services, if they need to contact me directly right now, the email is working. They can contact me at info@rrbugatto.com, and I will be more than happy to attend to any questions or requests.
And by the time the podcast is posted, all those links will be live. So you heard it first here on the Side Hustle podcast.
Indeed, man. And the idea is that they will find several services that I offer, because I have to encapsulate what I do in a format that is understandable. But what I will say is that the basis of the nuclear leader model is that you have to empower yourself to be able to influence the outcome in your environment, right? And one of the programs that I highlighted with business owners right now is that I take them through that journey of, business owners always want to grow their companies. They want to transform the organization. They want to leave this legacy, this DNA engraved in the organization even long when they're gone. And to be able to do that, there has to be alignment. You mentioned this, right? Like how you relate to yourself and to the exterior. If there is no alignment, it's very difficult to make that happen for everybody in the organization. And if you don't have clarity of where your alignment is, then very unlikely that you are going to get to that point where you will leave a legacy or grow your business where you want it to grow. And you mentioned two key points, I think, Robert, that I mentioned in the program where I kind of take the business owners into that alignment, and it's the beliefs and the values. So for me, one of the key principles, and I have a process of 6 steps that I run people through, and one of the first ones is that they need to understand what their beliefs and values are. If you don't know what your beliefs and your values are, both the limiting beliefs, so we can tackle them and remove them, and what your values are, or the values that you want to attain are, then yeah, you can, like the cat told Alice in Wonderland, right? You don't know where you're going, then any path will take you anywhere.
That's true. And you talked about, getting yourself in alignment. We've all heard the analogy on an airplane, you put the mask on yourself first. Because if you can't take care of your kids unless you have oxygen. So I like that analogy, getting things in alignment. And then there's 5 more steps, but you'll be able to find those on his website, on Roberto's website. Once this is posted, that website will be live. And the nice thing I like about working with the authors, this is part of a series with all the authors in the books with Brian Tracy, is that you're global. So people can reach out for your services from anywhere in the world.
Yes, indeed. Anywhere, man. Anywhere. I work with people in both languages, Spanish and English, all over the world.
Unlike us. Yeah, it's unlike us. I'm always jealous when I hear that somebody with a global business, because our services are in Canada. We're licensed in Canada. We take care of Canadians for tax and financial stuff. But I guess our podcast is global because we have somebody from the south of Spain now on, and we've had some people on from Australia and different parts of the world. But we're not looking at monetizing this podcast. We might make a few pennies off it. But one of the things that we're doing with this round of books with our publication with Brian is we're going to have 100 books delivered for our meeting next month, because all the authors come in and meet. Some people are arranging a book signing, but I'm going to get all the authors to sign 100 copies, and we're going to auction those off on our website for charity. So we'll cover the cost of the books, of printing, get all the authors to sign. So you'll have a book signed, and we'll see how many Brian can sign. That's the big challenge. Somebody said, "Oh, we can't get those books, 100 books printed by." I said, "Yes, we can. We can put somebody on the moon. We can get 100 books printed. And if not, I'll get them printed later. We'll sign them later." And then MedHat, who, is behind the entire publication process with Brian, said, maybe Brian could only maybe sign 10. I'm like, okay, I'll just come back 10 times. That's it. We'll get the 100 signed.
It's about the mindset.
Where there's a will, there's a way. So once the website is up and running, how do you deliver your services? Do you work with clients online? I guess mostly. Do you work with clients locally as well? If somebody's listening from your area?
Yes, mainly the program is online, so it's a mentorship program online. But I do offer the if they want me to move, visit them somewhere for obviously additional costs associated. But the program is delivered online mainly, and then I work with local people, and I actually go visit them when I can often. But the main source or the main via will be online.
That's excellent. I don't know if it was you. I can't remember. Somebody said the 15-15 rule. Was that you?
We talked about that in the preparation.
So, I'm thinking, the same thing for us. We just on halfway through now a Canadian tour. So we're doing 12 cities, and it's almost 5,000, I think it's 12,000 kilometers across Canada. So we've done halfway across Canada there and back. We're trying to work each city on the way. But I think, once you build up a big enough following, big enough clientele, you could do local events. But then there's also the opportunity, if somebody's listening and, likes Roberto's work, first class ticket, you can go anywhere in the world and have Roberto come and speak at your events. Do you have any aspirations on doing the big stages?
Yeah, of course, man. It's part of the goal. I've been able to give a couple of conferences in the US recently, and I'll be doing one online because this event is online with one of our co-authors as well from the book. This will be both in Spanish and English with business owners in the US. And but yeah, I'm definitely looking for the big stages. I've got a couple of chances to meet up the right people and try to network with them to see how far we can get there. Yeah.
Yeah, Alan P. Hill, who was in the last book. If you've met Alan, he's in the
Yes,
group,
indeed.
but he's part of a international group that they're a contract company, and they will find stages for you to speak on. So maybe reach out to Alan. That would be a great.
I've met with him in Austria in the in one of his programs, the Millionaire Mind Intensive. So I met with him for 3 days. He's awesome, man.
Yeah, I have. We just published the podcast with Alan, so you can see that in the podcast listing. That's on our website, mrtaxes.ca/podcast. I guess we'll put that in the chat area
Yeah.
so people can find it. But more importantly, so you can bookmark it. And if you're liking anything you're hearing from Roberto, and have an interest in having him come and speak about the 6 stages, starting with alignment, the whole process. So is your program something that you've created yourself? Is it an off-the-shelf program? Is it customized? And does it have your personal flavor on it?
Oh, it's got my personal flavor, all right, definitely.
Nice.
So obviously, I don't think you can actually create anything from scratch now. So you have to build everything from what you've learned, and I think it's the smartest way to do it. Something, but the program that I created is called the Neutral Leader Program, and this is based on the published book of the Neutral Leader, and the program itself feeds from different routes like operational excellence frameworks and so on. After being certified in several frameworks of operational excellency and project management and Lean Six Sigma and all that cool stuff, and Agile and Scrum and you name it, and it's under the belt, I've realized that frameworks are okay. Yeah, so I'm in favor of frameworks, but I'm far more favorable to principle than frameworks, because at the end of the day, I've seen so many companies try to implement a framework, and at the end of the day, they twist it and bend it to actually suit and feed the needs of the organization. That is actually perfectly okay, as long as you can, extract the value of the principles that run the framework. So the nuclear model it's a self-made. I've kind of gathered all those principles together, and it's based on concepts, principles, and then a implementation small framework. Yeah, so just to ease the way on how to work it. But if you allow me 1 minute, I'll explain to you the inspiration for that model. Yeah, because I was working on how could I put all that knowledge that I had gathered in over 2 decades of work and experience, and all this passion that I had about connecting with people and then helping leaders connect with their organizations to transform them to what they want to be. And it was reading a absolutely nothing to do with business book, and it was a religious book called The Temple and Cosmos by Hugh Nibley. And I was reading this book, and he was talking about a particular principle of faith. Yeah, and in this book, Temple and Cosmos, he uses the quote from an English nuclear physicist called P.T. Matthews, and he's got a book called the Nuclear Apple. And in his book, P.T. Matthews starts talking about how he was never in favor of, now quantum physics changed the whole thing. But before it was like, oh, religion is on one side, and then, science is on the other side. And there's this big bridge that separates, faith. And he said, P.T. Matthews, a nuclear physicist, he said, if anybody in this world uses faith for their principles, it's scientists. And he uses the example of the laws of thermodynamics. And in the second law of thermodynamics, he uses the concept of how everything that is in a higher order with time, it tends to disintegrate into lower orders of things. So in a sense, life should naturally disintegrate. But it so happens that our life doesn't disintegrate, right? And this is because the laws of thermodynamics, especially the second law of thermodynamics, only works on the, above the nucleus of the atom. And this is where the key concept comes from, the nuclear leader. This is where the title and the idea came from. And it is because he says there is a shuffling agent that is moving things around that make it work. So obviously he didn't say God, but he was mentioning to a higher power. And he uses that analogy because he says that the probability of throwing a deck of cards in the air and they all come shuffle in the same, in the exact order, it's the number is greater than the number of atoms that are in the visible or known universe. So think about this. So the number is so huge that the improbability of something coming up order without someone ordering it, it's just unreasonable to think that it will happen by luck or coincidence. So he says there is a shuffling agent, and this is where it clicked. This is where the leaders become the shuffling agents of their organizations. In a way, the calibrators of the organization, and that's where the model is based on.
The number is so big, it's like Elon Musk's bank account.
Yeah, slightly bigger.
Yeah, there's another book, and this brings me to the next question. Is I had to Google it here. The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. So I have the book. I've read it. Stephen K. Scott. He wrote this book, and he talks in the book about the richest man in Babylon, and he followed his principles. And he was posting every day that they said if you read the Proverbs, one of the Proverbs, there's 31 Proverbs in the Bible, but if you read one every day and manifest it every day, read it or post it or share it with somebody, within 1 year, you will become a millionaire. Because the Proverbs in the Bible talk about wealth and money and business. So if you're reading those and prophesize them, but he was a film guy, and he started one of the world's largest network marketing companies, Max International. They sell supplements, etc., online. So $1 billion company. And he actually became famous in film. He was in school for film with another famous Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg went on to fame in the movie industry, but Stephen K. Scott was responsible for half of the online midnight videos, the ones selling online products. So he would film and record those, and he was living with a friend in a 1-bedroom apartment, sleeping on his friend's couch, and he started reading the Proverbs one per day, every day. Within 6 months, he got his first $1 million contract for infomercials.
Cool.
So Stephen K. Scott. So that brings me to the next question. We ask all of our guests if they have, of course, you have 2 books that you just showed. So if you could show us your book again, just to cover, hold it up and smile. Yeah, the 2 books, this one and your book with Brian Tracy. So we'll get those links in the chat area so you can order a book from Roberto. But besides those 2 books, obvious favorites, do you have a favorite book that you've read in the past that has inspired you? Maybe one from your father's bookshelf? 1 or 2 books maybe to share with the listeners.
It's a very good question, man, because I'm an avid reader. Yeah, I've read from Isaac Asimov to Tolstoy to Julius Verne, and I think if I have to pick one, I will definitely pick the Bible. Yeah, because if there is one more encompassing book about life, about business, about anything you want to know about, it's actually the Bible. But if we leave the great book aside, there is one book that I think that touched me very early in life when I was a kid and I was reading it from our library. So I guess 2 books, but the one that I talk about is from Richard Bach, and I'm thinking of the title in English. I'm trying to think what the title, because I read it in Spanish. In Spanish, it's Juan Salvador Gaviota. I guess I can Google it, but it is the story of a seagull that he believed that he could fly faster than the speed of light. Yeah, and all his life, he spent. Let's see if I can find it in English. In English, there you go. Jonathan Livingstone Seagull. That's the title of the book from Richard Bach, and he was a pilot himself. Richard Bach has got an incredible story, a transformation story. But this book touched me very early in life because when everybody is telling you can't do something, when everybody's trying to turn you down from your dreams, when everybody is trying to keep you under the lead of those limiting beliefs, here was Jonathan Livingstone Seagull, who actually broke the speed of light and he moved into a different dimension. And that kind of story, stuck with me early in life. And it's kind of what has pushed me into many, many different things in life.
That is great. And what we'll do, because you're such an avid reader, we haven't done this before, but maybe, offline, we'll get a list of your top 5. I know the Bible, and then there's this one here by Richard Bach. So we'll make sure and get your top 5. And if somebody wants to reach out and swap books with Roberto, he's an avid reader and some interesting books there you've listed. So going to take a complete left curve. You're working with people, getting them in alignment. What about this bakery idea that is floating
Oh,
around that
yes.
we chatted about briefly? What's going on with that? And maybe share a little bit and get some limelight for your beautiful partner.
That's fantastic. Thank you, man. Actually, we got the license today. We got the license signed today. So we're going live very soon. So
You heard it first. You heard it first. So on the Side Hustle podcast, another
most
first.
definitely this one. You broke the news, man. This one for sure. So we got the license today. Now we got we're trying to sign the contract with the place, the rental for where the bakery is gonna sit. And this is where we're talking about the 15-15 rule, yeah. And I actually purchased the book. When you were telling me about Michael Gerber, then I said, okay, I gotta get me this book. So
But
I
here's the
ordered.
thing, there's a couple different versions. So I'm not sure which
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, but there's an original one. Then he has the new revised version. It's like the Bible. You have the original, but then there's many iterations. But the original ones where they actually talk about a woman who bakes pies. So that's what caught me about this story and what you're doing now.
Okay, maybe I
Your
got
side
the wrong
hustle.
one. I think I got the 2017 version, the revised, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna learn. But we talked about the 15-15 rule. That's why Michael Gerber came up in the conversation. And I had learned from one of my mentors, Daniel Priestley, this, yeah. And I told my wife, we gotta apply this rule, the 15-15 rule. And then we've actually measured all of this where the place is gonna be located. The actual closest place walking where people can get pastries and all that will be about 15 to 20 minutes away. So we got the whole area covered, and this is where we're going to move in around 2.5 kilometers around the place. And then we were talking about how to launch, how to get known, because we talked about two principles. I think this will be good for business owners or whoever is listening, because the quality of your product, it's what fidelizes, it keeps bringing the customers back. And she's got an incredible product, not because I'm the husband and I tried it, but because her product is fantastic.
You must work out an awful lot because you're a slim guy with eating all that great pastries.
I think God knew this, and then He gave me a very fast metabolism early on in life, so I could keep up with this. But yeah, I try to I try to control myself. But I am the official tester, so I need to do it. But then we talked about the product, and she was concerned. Oh, am I gonna sell it? I said, just don't worry, because your product, once they tried it, they will coming back. I said, oh, but we gotta get known. I said, don't worry, we get the strategy as well. So I'm helping her get to that strategy, and I will be part of that strategy to make sure that I didn't sell her smoke. So what we're gonna do, and this will be very interesting. We've been already feeding some of the information on social media. This is where the 15-second rule comes in, the 15-15. So it's either 15-kilometer coverage or 15 seconds. So you have to be able to bring your customer in 15 seconds online. And I know this applies in different ways before the era of internet, and then the 15-kilometer. So you cannot focus beyond that, because that is where you actually have to bring the customer in and then expand from that. So what I'm going to do, and I think I told you about this in our preparation, is that I'm going to dress as a cookie. So we've been fitting the internet, social media, with the pictures of the cookies and the muffins and this and that and the cakes. Then all of a sudden, in a couple of days, actually, one of those cookies will disappear. So there will be a tray of cookies and one cookie is gone. And now it will be the task of the potential customers to find that cookie for a reward. So we'll print out all the wanted and reward, flyers and all that. So we'll give them away. And eventually I will dress as a cookie and I will run around the city, and whoever catches me will actually get a reward. We'll record the whole thing, use it as new content. So
They
that will
have
be
they
a
have
success.
in accounting depreciation. So if you buy big equipment or a vehicle, let's say a 10 or $100,000 vehicle, the first year you can write off 30%. So there's 70% left. Each year it's 30% of the remaining value. So it kind of reminds me of your disappearing cookie. It keeps disappearing, but when you get down to the last cookie, maybe just take bites out of it. The last cookie, so the cookie will never be completely gone.
I like that, man. That analogy is very good.
I saw
No,
one online. I forget what food product it was. It might have been pizza, but there was a guy dressed up and he was running around and he had a QR code on his chest. And people, if they wanted a free, I can't remember what it was, maybe a slice of pizza, but if they were able to take a picture, But the thing is, the guy was turning all the time, and you couldn't get the QR code. So he had people chasing him through the city, trying to get this picture, and it created such a viral video. All his videos were viral because every time he went out with his costume or his outfit on, people were chasing him around. It reminds me of there was a Japanese speaker here, and I can't remember his name. I'll have to get it and then put it in the comments. But he walked around Japan. He was a business guy, and he had tiny gold coins that were worth, I'm going to guess, maybe $50 to $100 Canadian, or maybe, $40 to $70 US. But he would give, every time somebody would do something kind, like he would see maybe a young man hold the door for an elderly person, he would call them over and he would give them a gold coin. And he became famous for this. And when he went out, people were following him from home, at his office, hoping to get a gold coin. But when people followed him, he didn't give any out. So it was really genuine gesture on his part, but he had the money to be able to do it. And he did that because he said somebody showed him kindness when he was younger, and he wanted to repay with his wealth. So kind of what you're doing with all your knowledge. You're giving it out in a course. Do you have separate levels for your course that you're planning? I know it's 6 stages, but do you have a beginner, intermediate, senior level, anyway, for someone to get started with you, maybe an introductory package?
Actually, no, it's a good point. Maybe I need to develop it, but I do have the separation on how to apply this in life and business. So that it's kind of the same program. It's slightly different, actually. For the life, for the people version, I have a workbook that is also. It's not you cannot buy it. It comes with the course. It's called the Transformation Program Work.
So that's going to be book number 6 on the list that we have in the comments.
It's not,
but you got to sign up for the course. You got to sign up for the course.
Exactly. But I think that the program is so straightforward that it adapts to the level of the listener. Yeah. So I think it can be it's very specific to the person, but it's also generic enough that it will allow, if whatever your goals are. Maybe your goal is to finish high school. You're in that area, or maybe your goal is to buy yourself a house, or your goal is to turn your 10 million business into 100 million. Whatever your goal is, the process is how to maximize the output through that transformation phase. Yeah. And I had a podcast in my podcast, and when you chat with a good friend of mine, Carl Wagner, and we talked about liminal spaces. Those transition phases of where people tend to fall back into the old habits in the comfort zone. So I help I mentor, accompany the business owners into that transformation, so they can actually move out of their comfort zone and maximize the output. So in a way, it adapts to the student.
So the workbook, again, just show us the workbook. So if you're interested in the workbook, get a hold of Roberto. If you can't find the link, reach out to us. We'll make sure you get in touch with him. But to be able to get the workbook, you need to enroll in the program, make the investment in the program, and see where it transforms your business. I love the bakery idea. There's many stories about people starting up business, and you're going through all that again now, getting the license. The license is approved today, which is amazing. The 15-15 rule. Do you have a plan beyond that 15-15 rule, like eventually going online with the products?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And this is one of the principles that I learned. If you want to write another book, the 7 habits of highly successful people, efficient people, from Stephen Covey. And one of the principles that really stuck with me from Covey is, that's I got 7 books already done. All right, good. Yeah, there's more.
We're growing.
There's more. But one of the principles he mentions is always keep the end goal in mind. Yeah. So when you're working towards something, you have to keep your end goal in mind. And what that allows you to do is that you don't lose track of where you're going, because in the process of breaking this big cake into smaller pieces of cake that you have to eat, you might forget that there's a cake, a piece of cake that you forgot about. So it's about the whole goal, keeping it in mind. And what my wife, and I'm just a supporting party here, yeah. So it's her business here, but what she envisions is she wants to build a national brand and then an international brand that she can move on and grow in different places around the world.
Do you have a name for the brand, or do you have the brand name,
Yes,
or are
it
you
might
able to
change in the
mention?
future. Yeah, yeah, of course, because I'm sure that this will evolve. But in Spanish, the brand is Dulce Escapada, which will translate in English as streetscape. Yeah, and the idea behind this is very important because it all comes back to that connection that we talked about. Is that she wants to build a brand that doesn't lose the artisan connection of pastries and bakeries. So she wants to keep it, as artisan as possible, even when we grow up. Um, but it allows the customer for an experience, not just a cake, not just a muffin, not just a bite of sugar, but an actual experience. And this is where the cookie running around the city is part of that engagement experience for the customer. And what she wants to turn that is that each bite is an opportunity to get away from stress. It's an opportunity to break the rhythm of routine and so on. So that's kind of what is behind it, the emotional part of it.
What are some of the biggest, and I know which ones they are, I'm just asking rhetorically, but the biggest fast food brands in the world? McDonald's, Subway,
Subway,
KFC. For many years,
KFC.
KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, was number one until the early 2000s. KFC was the number one franchise, and then McDonald's and Subway kept competing. But Subway, for many years, didn't even have hot food. They just had subs that were buns pre-cooked. And I didn't realize how the phenomenon grew, but part of it is what you're talking about. And I'll explain it in a short story here. When my son was maybe 8 or 9 years old, he was playing soccer or football, real football. And after the game, the parents invited everybody over to one of the houses so the kids can play and the parents could chat. And we stopped at Subway. We were gonna treat the kids to Subway, and they all lined up. But what I'd never realized is my son had never been to a Subway store. And if the listeners don't know, it's very easy. Subway.com. They sell foot long subs, which aren't actually 12 inches long. They got sued, but they won because it's just a phrase. But my son was standing there at the glass, and the lady said, "How can I help you?" And he looked up at me, right? Because, a little bit shy. And he goes, "What can I get, Dad?" I said, "You can get whatever you want. You put whatever you want. You make it the way you like it." And he goes, "Whoa, really?" And he says, "Well, I want chicken." I said, "But what kind of bread?" He goes, "I can pick the bread?" And I said, "Yeah, it's over here. Like, it's listed on the glass." They say, "Do you want whole wheat, grain bread, rye bread?" The different types of bread that they have. And Italian herbs and spices is my favorite. So that's a free plug for Subway. You can send the check in the mail. But what I didn't realize was the experience of going to Subway isn't just going to get a sub. You actually pick and choose how your food is made. And that's 80% of the experience. 10% is eating it. 10% of the experience is the exchange, tapping your debit or credit card or paying for it. But 80% of that is an experience. And I realize now that's why Subway became what it is, the number two
Indeed,
fast food brand in the world.
indeed, man.
So
And I was talking to
I think you're onto something there with the
Oh yeah.
Sweetscape. I can't pronounce the Spanish word, but Sweetscape. But
Oh,
we'll have to
you'll
get
get
the
there.
name. We'll have to get the name so we put it in the notes. And I'm sure you have a website coming for that as well.
Yeah, soon. It's not built yet, but we're getting there because we want to make a little bit of a grandiose entrance
Little splash.
first.
Taking a bite out of the cookie industry. There you go.
There you go. I love that, man. I love that. That's actually a good part of the
Trademark
pitch.
it
I'm gonna
before
add
the
that.
podcast goes live. Taking a bite out of the cookie industry.
I'm gonna take that into the pitch because we were building the pitch for future investors as well. So that's good. The
Yeah, one bite at a time.
No, I like that. I really like that. Actually,
How do you eat a Sweetscape cookie? One bite at a time.
one bite at
You
a
do
time.
like
I like that.
Roberto and just put the whole.
Then run because you gotta burn the calories
There
on
you
your
go.
date.
Run, yeah.
No, but I love what you said on Subway because it's precisely that, and I think if whatever lead business owners that is gonna listen to this, and I hope many do because it's a very very good lesson. and it talks about moving into the social revolution, because the newer generations, they want more and more and more. Yeah, so they actually demand this more and more to become an experience. And one of the mentors that is working with me now, his name is Daniel Marote, and he's actually helping me to create the next level of the neutral leader marketing campaign. Yeah. And he worked for some of the big brands, and he was the one that introduced Starbucks into Spain. And Spain is known for being a high pain adverse country. Yeah, so people tend to actually go for the cheapest thing. And when they were trying to introduce it, everybody told them they were crazy. How can you sell coffee at $4 when you can get it for about 20, about 50?
McDonald's
And
now $1 at McDonald's.
exactly. But they said, "Oh, you're never gonna do this, you're never gonna do that," and whatever. And it says, what they didn't realize is that we never sold coffee. We always sold the experience of the coffee. Yeah. So, and this is the difference. And Starbucks is a freaking huge brand now in Spain and all over Europe. And you can find it everywhere. And that's the concept of switching to. I'm not selling a product. My value offer, as they call it in marketing, is it has to be beyond the 5 P's of Porter. Yeah, it has to be now an experience for the customer.
Yeah, the experience is everything. They talk even in the service industry, in our industry, how do you provide insurance to somebody? Well, they come in and sign papers and they leave. Well, do you provide a foot massage while they're there? Do you give them a haircut? How do you expand the service industry? And that's the problems we're trying to solve every day, is how to implement these things. But I love what you're doing with your new business, your new venture, and we'll get the website in the link. We'll get the Sweetscape Spanish version. When the website is released, we'll get that out as well, and we'll send that out. We could do that in our newsletter when that's available. We'll keep that a secret until it's launched. And then the viral videos with the running cookie. I can't wait to see those.
Oh, I'll send them over, man. And maybe I'll drop just a quick tip there, because I was talking to a fellow Canadian of yours on a conference in Phoenix, and he's also a co-author, by the way. I'm thinking about how can you turn insurance policies into an experience, or accounting services or financial services into an experience. And while we were at the conference, at the workshop, right? It was a retreat, yeah. He said, I'm struggling with this customer, because I can't break through, and now I wanted to meet her here and there, but now her husband is, the husband of this potential customer was going through, I can't remember if it was cancer or something like strong medical recovery, something bad, like strong. And then I told him, yeah, it's because you're trying to sell her a product. You cannot sell her a product. You have to sell her something different. I says, what you got to do, maybe, I propose, try to find an emotional connection. Yeah. So try to connect with her. Forget about the money. Forget about, because she's got a different problem now in her mind. The money will come and it will be a problem in the future, but her mind is elsewhere now. So resolve that problem of the money by taking her away from this. And that's what he did. And 2 hours later, he came back from the retreat and said, yeah, I closed the client. So, it's
Are you
about.
talking about Morrow?
Yeah.
Is it Morrow?
Yeah.
I met with him. He came from Calgary. He's in the western part of Canada. He came out to the West Coast. He has an office here, and we connected as well.
Awesome, man.
That's a
Awesome.
great story. That's a great story.
And you said, oh, you only work local, but you know what? Actually, when you have an international network like you have now with all the authors book, I send one potential client tomorrow as well, and he's a Canadian that works in Germany with me. So at the end of the day, the bigger that your reach is, the bigger that
That's
your
okay.
opportunities.
I'm second in line now for the next one. That's all right.
Yeah.
No, I was joking with Morrow because we were talking about that, the relationships and techniques to work with clients. But one of them is when we're working with couples, I asked them, and I got this from an older insurance salesman. He, when he's talking to a couple, he will look at the husband, and then when he goes to close, he looks at the wife and he says, "Sir, do you want your widow to be able to dress as nice as your spouse?" And
Oh, that's
the
one
wife
good
will
way
always give
to
the
put
husband.
pressure.
Yeah, the husband, loosens his tie and the wife hits him in the arm. You better think about us, honey. That's so.
Yes,
Hey, a
indeed.
lot of great things going on. We're almost at an hour here, but I'm sure we could talk all day. Maybe um, once you get the cookie up and running, no pun intended. Uh, once you get that happening, well, once the business comes on, let's get you back on with your wife and talk about how the business is doing. Maybe wait till you're going a couple months and get you back on, and we'll do a follow up on the growth of what is it, Sweetscape. I won't butcher the Spanish version, but give it to us in
Awesome.
Spanish again.
Dulce escapada.
Dutes capada.
There you go. Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't butcher
dutes
anything, man.
capada. Yeah, no problema, amigo. But that's Spanish. So
Awesome, man.
yeah, it's almost an hour. Let's wrap it up. Any final words to the listeners? How they can reach out to you. What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, Bugatto.com once it's up and running again. I apologize for that. I wish it was already renovated by now. Info@rrbugato.com, the email. On LinkedIn, they can find me as rrbugato as well. On Instagram, they can find me as rrbugato or the emoji chat. That's for the podcast. Facebook, the same. Yeah, they can find me in many places. Amazon. I mean, I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Okay, everybody, that's another episode here of the Side Hustle from the south of Spain with Roberto Bugato. Thanks a million for coming on.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's it.
Right on.
That's a wrap. I'm going to share something with you, something that we did on our website.
I wasn't sure if you had met Mauro already, man. That's why I didn't mention the name, just to
That's all
didn't show
right.
you.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll give him a plug. Even though we're in competing businesses, there's 40 million people in Canada.
That's enough.
Where's Sash? Something we did on our website, and she did it. I think there's too many colors. I'm going to share the screen, but JJ, who works with us from the Philippines, does all our website and everything. She did this page, so it's our website /socials, and on that one page, she put all our social media channels. So if you want to connect on Facebook or Instagram,
that's pretty cool, man.
it's like Linktree. I think I'm not sure if you've heard of Linktree. They'll
I've
set
heard
up a
it.
page for you, but you should have it on your own website. Why give everybody else free video? So here's some of the podcast reels. Because we get about 25,000 members on our newsletter, so they get links to the podcast. How can they not support by buying, but let's say support by lobbying, helping lobby the government? I'm sure you have your nose into all those areas.
I drove across the country from Vancouver to Ottawa for the 5-year anniversary. Our industry held an event in Ottawa called.
So that's what they do with the clips from the podcast. They'll do little 1 or 2
Right.
clips, and we'll get you copies of all those as well. But the socials page, I put that at the footer of all my emails now and all my texts, so that because some people like Facebook, some like Instagram, some love TikTok. I think those cookie videos or the running cookie
Oh, that would be.
will go viral on TikTok.
I mean, we hope so.
Do you have a costume already designed? Is it already?
It's on the way. We're this week. We hope to finish it. But yeah, the idea is that I will be kind of unable to move fast, and then I'm Velcro part of the cookie costume, and then I can run faster. So we'll see what happens.
Wow, a lot of thought went into the costume.
Oh yeah.
A lot of thought. That's great. That's great. So when is you take possession of the location for the bakery? When?
Yeah. So no, because they're finishing up the contract. So hopefully tomorrow. I mean, it's a long weekend here in Spain. I don't know if it's bank holiday there with the All Saints bank holiday, but
there's a weekend.
Yeah,
we're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs.
No, not me.
I know.
But I was gonna,
us.
I was gonna say that the website might not be up and running, for until Monday, Tuesday, because we'll see. Let's see. when they finish it up. I will try to restore to the older version while they do the renovation, but we'll see. It's just unfortunate because this morning until 11 was working, and then something happened, like screwed it up or whatever in the migration, because I moved from one hosting to the other. I don't know if it was me when I logged in that I did something wrong, or
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know all the problems with the tech stuff. We have two great one lady, Gigi from Philippines. She does all the editing and all the video. She's really good. You can check them out on our Instagram. But once we get those done, but the other lady, and they work together. They live in different parts of the Philippines, but the other lady is more the IT, takes care of the website. And we had all kinds of problems starting up because we were starting with a new software, but now she's the expert.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
anything we give her, it's done by the next morning. You know that
awesome.
that socials page, she had that done in less than an hour. It's good.
And I need a GG in my life then.
Yeah, it's we found we tried out a lot of different people on upwork.com.
Yeah, I use Upwork and Fiverr. Those are the two main ones that I've used so far.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, global. Again, I'm jealous. A global business. Our clients don't all come. Alex from Australia said, "Oh, Robert, you should think about coaching." And I'm like, well, the only reason why they call me coach is because I don't fly first class.
Yeah.
Our business is flourishing, and I can't step away from it now. I'd love to be able to. We actually do some mentoring. So there's a couple colleges and universities close by. There's 3 main ones in the Vancouver area, and we have contacts with all of them. But they send us marketing students or finance students, and they have a program. It's an entrepreneur program, and in return for them sending us practicum students, we mentor 2 every semester. So every 3 months. We mentor 2 entrepreneur students. And here's something downstairs from our office is a coffee brand, Waves Coffee. It's a great local brand. They have about 30 locations now. They're franchising. And the last practicum students or mentorship students that came, they had a concept, both a slightly different concept for a coffee business. And we have to go as business owners and we have to pitch why they should work with us. They get up and tell, 30 students or 40 students get up, and we sit there for an hour to listen to all of their ideas. And then all the business owners. So let's say you're pitching your bakery idea. We have to say why you should work with us. So we have to get up and we're fighting over these students. It's it's friendly. We should take it outside and settle this. And he's like, okay, let's go. And it's like, no, maybe we can mentor together. So there's lots of fun. But ideally, they were both had a coffee concept. So those 2 students have actually got permission to join their program. And now we're working with the owner of Waves Coffee.
Oh, wow.
Because he loves their concept. So there's so many things you can do to give back as well.
Which is very important, man. It's very important.
Yeah. So I guess that's a wrap. What's up for you? It's dinner time there now.
It is dinner time. Yeah, I gotta help the boss.
Yeah, we all have a boss. We all have a boss.
No, but thank you for having me, Robert. It was fantastic, for real.
Yeah, we'll get you copies of all the video, and then I have an email here. I've been typing notes, so a reminder for 7 books, and maybe 1 bonus, maybe 3 bonus books. We'll make it 10. Some of your favorite books, and then some of the things that just to remind you, so you can send back an email with the links. And then, soon to come, the bakery link, and then the Spanish phrase, and then the URL, all that stuff. So we can get it in the comments. And then we won't, a note to Gigi, do not publish until we get the word from Roberto that the website at least is live.
Thank you, man.
If when it's coming live, we can time it. Okay, take your call. We'll chat soon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Adios, amigo.
Adios.
Yeah, they're really good, the team from the Philippines. It's good to say that because she's going to be editing this. She's going to hear me talking about her. So JJ and
Good.
Gigi, but they do a great job on the podcast. But yeah, we put the trailers on the end. So be careful.
That's awesome.
We have to be careful
Yeah.
what we say. And you're saying on you're doing similar thing with bloopers on your podcast.
Yes, indeed. We got a bunch of bloopers. So what we're trying to do is, because I went to this master class for podcasting and so on, and one of the things that I took out of that is you have to plan the content rather, because first it was just like I was bringing people in and then we were recording, because me and my wife sat in a couch. It was very kind of like just natural conversational, yeah. And just both of us sitting in a couch, each with a microphone. We had a topic that we developed. Then it wasn't like properly planned, yeah, like structure. So now I think we wanna, once we get her bakery ongoing, then we wanna sit down, structure the content, and then work on recording. Then do kind of a series like seasons, yeah, like we'll do whatever, like 10, 12, 20, whatever. That's a season. Then move on to the next and so on and so on.
Season 1, season 2, episode 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
2 per month, do 24 per year, and you're all set.
Yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do. And maybe record all that in like 2 months, then have a full year set, and then record the next session.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Our goal was just to keep bringing guests on and do content, bring business owners on. So business owners get inspired, they come see us, and maybe they use our services. Great. But when we did the first podcast, we have 3 co-hosts. So we interviewed them first. So now they're our co-hosts. So they bring on guests as well. And then the 3 of us will be on. But then our plan is just to bring on business owners. So, with this Brian Tracy book, which you were in the first edition, we can get all the Brian Tracy. So that can be a series, even though we do them, not maybe in that order recording, but we can put them all. But that's a great idea. And, for those who are doing podcasts, reach out to Roberto and Roberto. You go by Roberto or Roberto?
Whatever, but they've called me.
My doctor calls me. Yeah, my doctor called me Roberto.
Really?
He's a white guy. He's a white guy, but he always jokes around.
There you go. I always, it's because sometimes when I speak to English speakers in the US. And I say Roberto, and then they sometimes they look at me like what are you talking about? I say just like Robert with an O at the end. That's it. And then they get it.
But a lot of Americans are familiar with Spanish.
Yeah. More and more now. Huh?
Yeah. So they should be able to roll the R, Roberto,
Yeah. Well, depends on what part of the US you will face the rolling R or no.
True.
Or no strength.
So that's awesome. Your wife is, in the bakery business. I always joke around when I was talking about earlier, speaking to all the different businesses that we bring on. They don't have a boundary with their border, right? Whereas you talk about the 15-15 rule. For us, we don't work with clients outside of Canada, unless they have a Canadian tax issue or they have a company in Canada or something. But I always joke around about starting a cooking channel, because I worked at restaurants when I was younger, and the bakery, like we were talking about. But I get all these feeds on my Instagram, no pun intended, but it makes you hungry. You just want to eat something. But I thought of doing a cooking channel. Maybe that's a project down the road.
There you go, and you can always find ways of bringing cooking as a metaphor or business related topic introduction. Huh?
Yeah, I got a friend. He's a bookkeeper. He's got a good sized company. He only services restaurants. That's his niche, restaurants. It's like accountants in Canada. Some only work with doctors. Some only work with construction companies or auto dealerships. They'll work with some others, if the paycheck is big enough, but they try and stick to their channel or their lane. And the 15-15 rule, you said, is 15 kilometers or 15 minutes?
15 seconds.
15-second phone call or 15 kilometers?
Or on the internet, like you have to be able to catch it. I think, the 15-15 applies in different ways, because like you say, when Michael Garner talked about this in the 80s, it's a different application. But
Yeah,
I
no
think what
internet back then. No internet.
exactly. So within, the 15-15 can be applied of, hey, you have about 15 seconds to catch somebody's attention today on the internet, yeah? Whether
Even less, I
Instagram,
think.
TikTok.
I've heard
Yeah,
less.
even,
They will
we
swipe. They will
run,
swipe if it's not good looking. They're gonna swipe.
yeah.
They're gonna swipe left. If it's good looking, they'll swipe right.
Now they do up or down with the TikTok and so on, and literally on, we run on our podcast and statistics on the TikTok short videos that we share and all that, and on average you have about 2 point something seconds to really either get them to watch about 50 to 60% of the video, maybe not even the full video, or they're going like 2 point something, 1 point something, 2, 3, like they have
Stop! Don't scroll! Don't scroll! Stop! I've seen some crazy ones like that. Where we're, most of our posts, our reels and stuff, they're more professional, but the team is trying to convince me to do a little bit of more TikTok, crazy dancing or crazy videos, or we have an avatar, what is it? I'm just going to try and log in because Zoom has an avatar feature.
Yes, I know, it's true.
And I was joking around one day with it, and they said, "Oh, you should use this avatar." Hello, Roberto. This is a Mr. Tax's AI avatar. How can I help you today?
You gotta teach me how to get that hair. That's the first thing that you gotta teach me how to do.
Well, the hairdo is very easy, Roberto. You just sign up for Zoom and you download an avatar, and you can select your own hairstyle.
There's even AI application into it. Like you can actually turn your avatar into like AI realistic, and it'll follow you
I
along.
saw a guy, there's a mortgage broker in Canada. He had his face and his voice, and you could tell he just put in the text because but he made it with a deeper voice, a sexier voice. So he made his hair a little bit darker, a little bit fuller, and, made his teeth whiter and all that stuff. But we're just gonna have some fun. One of the things we did for marketing this year, so the ladies in the Philippines helped, that we have those 2 ladies work with us full time, is we came up with 365 tax tips, 365 insurance tips, 365 mortgage tips, and investment tips. We had to adjust them a little bit, but we used ChatGPT. I had to do it a couple times because I had to get the question right. I said 365 tax tips, and I put US tax tips, so US terminology. Then I said, well, 365 Canadian tax tips, and then they spit out a whole bunch of sentences. And then we said, okay, we narrowed it down under 140 characters so we could put it on X. So then we got all the tax tips, and then we created a question for each one. And then we did 3 different versions. We did a video, a reel, and a text post. So 365 times 4, which is about 1,300, times our 5 companies, times the 365 tips. So we have about 12,000 tips now. They all go out automatically. And we did all that in 1 week in December.
Wow.
So all of our social media content is already done for the year. So now we can fill it in with some fun things, like maybe a TikTok or avatar videos with the same tips. We could do the same questions and answers, but through the avatar video. And we thought of we have a website, askmrtaxes.ca or .com, so where people can go on and ask us questions. But we thought of using the avatar when people book a call, so they come on and they talk to an AI avatar, and they're going to believe it's an avatar until I start laughing or something. So we're, even though we're a professional service company, we try and have a little bit of fun.
But that's what it is about, and it's good that you recorded it, because I think one of the keys, one of the key lessons that I'm trying to help my wife position on the with the bakery is that it's about the experience. It's not so much about the product. And she was saying, yeah, but the product is, and I says, look, baby, you're gonna,
because that book is great for that. It will explain that.
I already ordered it on Amazon. Yeah.
Maybe Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've already ordered it right now, so it will get here the 3rd of November.
Wow.
But the point is, it's about it's about the experience that you give the user, and because how do you differentiate in a basic service or product like bakery? The only way to do that is that you have to give an experience. So the product will fidelize. It will keep bringing the customers back. But if you want to bring them in, you have to give them an experience from the marketing standpoint. It's starting now on the social media. So I'll share with you what we're gonna do. So we're starting posting every day, pictures of the cookies she makes, or the muffins and the cakes and this and that, and it's coming here, it's coming there. But what we're gonna film in the next 2 weeks, she's opening up in about 2 weeks, yeah. And what we're doing is we're feeding social media with the pictures, but all of a sudden in the trays that she's gonna take pictures, one of the cookies is gonna disappear. So now it's going to become the finding the missing cookie challenge. Yeah. So, and it's all going to be local. So we're going to print out flyers with like wanted and reward. And there's going to be a picture of me dressed as a cookie. Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
then the idea is that the reward is whoever catches the cookie will get a promotion or a free set of cookies or whatever. Yeah. We will find about the reward, but we're going to hand those over only in about, like 1 or 2 kilometers around it. That's it. We're not going to go crazy. We're just going to hand out flyers on the first 1 or 2 kilometers around the baker, and then I'm gonna be going dressed as a cookie in around the schools and high schools, and I'm gonna freaking run. So people are gonna have to catch me as a cookie. Whoever catches me first gets the valet for the discount and so on.
I'll share this one with you. Do you know this baseball player?
I'm not into baseball, sorry, man.
I think he's Japanese, but he's playing now in the American League. So he's now one of the top players.
Oh, I remember the story. Yeah, when he hit the course. What course did when he broke the
see
screen?
The lights?
Yeah.
See this black square?
Yeah. He hit the ball with the screen. Yeah.
And then Coors made a can to match the screen with the blacked out lights.
Freaking awesome, man. That's a genius idea.
That made me think of the missing cookie. I thought you were gonna say, the next scene is somebody enjoying the cookies, like eating it. Oh man, that's the best cookie I ever had. And I'm thinking, if you need a volunteer to eat the cookies,
there you go, man. No, but for real, I mean, we're gonna record all this. So part of the content creation will be someone will be recording without being seen. Me running away from the kids.
I saw something like that online. Somebody had a thing where you had to take a picture of the QR code on the guy's uniform or costume, and he kept moving, and they couldn't catch him. So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, great concept.
Yes, indeed. And at the end of the day, this is just the start of the experience, because what she wants to bring into the bakery. I don't know, it sounds crazy.
There is bakeries that ship cookies around the world. I went from Vancouver to Seattle, which is a 3-hour drive. I drove to Seattle for a cookie. It was a cinnamon pumpkin cookie. I remember it was a Halloween cookie, and they have a special cookie place. It's in the market in Seattle. And I went down there, I bought 24 cookies, 2 dozen cookies. And when I came across the border back to Canada, they say, what did you buy anything you have to report? I said, yeah, I bought some of these cookies from the Seattle thing. And he goes, that place, he said, we're going to have to confiscate those cookies. I'm like, what? I got the receipt for it. I got everything for it. He goes, unless you give me one, he said, we're going to take them all. And he goes, I'm just joking. He goes, have a nice day. But those cookies are famous. Huh? And there's another one. There's Famous Amos cookies. I don't know if you heard of those. Famous Amos, Amos. They're in the US. He started shipping cookies around the world. There's a couple other cookie manufacturers that sell high-end cookies. So they sell a box of 12 cookies for $150.
Holy moly.
And it's just perceived value.
Mm-hmm.
Charge more for them, they taste better.
Yeah.
But free ones taste pretty good too.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the idea. So we're starting on just local, but nice. The idea is
that's
to
awesome.
global.
Yeah, now I'm inspired. Wow.
And there's another. I cannot share everything because part of that will be IP, and we have to brand it. But it's gonna. We're trying to go. We're gonna go into mass production with a couple of products she's got in the pipe. So
Nice. Yeah, we can share that offline. Yeah, so it doesn't go on the internet here. So Famous Amos doesn't steal the idea.
exactly.
There's a whole bunch of online, when you're ready to go past the 15, ready to go online or what, there's so many ideas online. And not just
It's a
cookies.
massive market. It's a
There's
massive.
Dollar Shave Club. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
So he started that with just a video, and he grew it. He sold the company to Unilever. Do you know how much?
I don't know.
You can Google it, but it was 1 billion
Holy
with a
moly.
B, 1 billion US. He's done now. He never has to work, it just retired, but he's still doing some business consulting and seminars and speaking. But that's what you can do. Once you make enough money in business, then you have options.
Well, maybe in a couple of years we'll repeat the podcast and we'll tell you that how much we sell our bakery line.
Yeah, sell it to a global brand. No, that's awesome. So when are we going to get on and shoot the video?
You tell me when. I'll adapt, man. 'Cause obviously, for me, it's nighttime when you're available, so I'm okay with that.
Well,
Let
what
me
time
know.
is it there now? What time is it there
It's
now?
9:46.
So we could do any time in the previous 8 hours. So if it was noon your time, no, let's say
No, that would be
5
too early
hours.
for you.
Yeah, 5 hours earlier. So do you have Pacific time? Do you want to do 8 a.m. Pacific time? We could do tomorrow or Thursday even.
Tomorrow, no, because I got the kid. I have an autistic child that is in a residence, so we pick him up every once in a while. So tomorrow I'll be with him. But Thursday we can do, yeah, man.
Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific.
9 a.m. Pacific. Let me check what that means for me. Yeah.
That's
9 a.m. Pacific time in Spain is 5. Yeah, 5. That works.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
let's do 5. That's 5 p.m. for me. So let's do it. Any topic in mind that you have, Roberto?
What I usually do is just start out, welcome to the podcast, and let's hear a little bit about Roberto. This is how we met, through the Brian Tracy thing. He's one of the original authors, co-authors with Brian.
Guinea pigs, man. You should call me guinea pig.
Yeah, one of the guinea pigs. Yeah, and we can have some fun. And then we bring you on. Hey, how's it going? How's business? And business wasn't always like this for you. Where did it start? How did you become an entrepreneur? Do you have formal training as
All
an
right.
entrepreneur? It's just showing people that the path is easy. If you want to be an entrepreneur, go for it.
Yeah.
And then you reach
Okay.
out to mentors and people like Roberto and ourselves in Canada. Roberto, if you're looking for global coaching, and then you can talk about the Weiss Bakery, and you can let out a few things like maybe your opening date and any special events coming up, like the opening of the bakery and what type of cookies you're going to serve there and how you're helping her. That'd be a great story. We'll weave it in.
All right.
Awesome.
Let's do that, man. Let's definitely do that. I'm actually, we'll mention it in the podcast, but I am the first Spanish co-author of Brian Tracy in the world. I was the first one. There's a couple
I'm
more.
numero dos. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the lead donkey is the only one that gets a change of view, though.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So it's
So
the
they say.
first Spanish one, the first Black one, the first female one, the first financial business. There's a lot of firsts. You can say first. It's like being a best-selling author. Best-selling for what?
For what? Yeah.
I bought my own book. I'm best-selling with myself.
I bought 1 million copies of my own book. Hey, at the end of the day, they count the sales, so you can actually. It'll cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. So here, one of the plans I have, we're going down to San Diego next month, to do the video. We did the marketing package as well the day before. So we do an interview with Brian and all that stuff, fun stuff. But I'm glad the book just came today. So there's still about almost a month to go to San Diego. We're ordering 100 books, hardcover. I'm going to get all the authors because they're going to be there to sign them all, sign their chapter in each book. We'll just have the room set up, have them all sign. And then what we're going to do is auction those books off on our website for charity.
Oh wow, that's fantastic idea, man.
Yeah, the first 100 books are going to be sold, auction off, and the proceeds will go to our charity. Here is the food bank, but it'll go to feed hungry children at Christmas. And then
Wow.
we'll start the bidding at maybe $25 per book, and we'll put it on one of those bidding websites, and it'll go for, let's say, until middle of December, and then whoever gets the highest bid. So you could get a book for $25 signed by Brian Tracy.
That's awesome,
and all,
man.
like, each chapter to get the authors to sign them all. They said Brian may not sign 100. He'll only do 10. I said, okay, I'll come back 10 times then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back 10 times. If it takes that, Brian, I'll come back 10 times then. So
No, we gotta take advantage, man, because he's getting old, man. He's
yeah, they said, make plans because he may not be well. So book cancellation insurance for your tickets. I didn't book anything cancellation. Booked the hotel,
I was
booked an
talking
extra
to May.
day. We booked the flights, and I said, that's an omen for Brian to be well. Because if I book cancellation insurance, then it's gonna set the intention that he's not gonna be well.
Yeah, that's a good thought there. I was talking to Mera to bring him to Europe and then take advantage and go together with Mera to the UAE. But yeah, well, I don't think it's gonna happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough. He was actually in Vancouver a month ago, and I wish I knew about it. Because when he was on one of the team calls. I don't know if you were on that one. It was about 4 calls ago. He was on. I got the recording, and he goes, "Oh, where's everybody from?" I waited for everybody to finish. Oh, I'm from, UAE.
I
I'm
was in
from
that one.
Spain.
I was in that
And then
one.
oh yeah, and I told him I'm from Vancouver, and he goes, "Oh, who's from Vancouver?" He goes, "I remember because he's from Vancouver. He grew up here, so he knows Vancouver." So that I kept that clip, and we're using it now on social media. So
Right on, man.
you got to get the mileage out of all the footage. Okay,
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
We'll see you then
Thursday, yeah?
Thursday morning Pacific time. It'll be dinner time for you, and you'll be having some cookies for dessert.
For sure. 'Cause she's testing all the new flavors she wants to try, and I try to hold myself back because otherwise I'm gonna roll into success rather than run into success.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, awesome, man. We'll see you on Thursday morning.
All right.
Muchas
Thank you, man.
gracias, amigo.
Encantado.
Encantado. Bye bye.
Ciao.